right, today's lesson is Chapter 1, Lesson 7. We're going to talk about functions. So the definition of a function is that every input has exactly one output. And remember on the last lesson, 1.6, we had 4 ways of showing or demonstrating a relation. So we're going to talk about those 4 ways again, and they're going to help us determine if that relation is a function. Some relations are functions and some relations are not functions. Not every relation is a function, but every function is a relation. All right, so let's talk about mapping. Remember, these are my inputs. These are my x's. This is my output. My output is my y. Every x, so let's say I had 2, 3, 4, and 7. Every input has one output. So there can only be one arrow right here. So 2's output could be 5. And 3's output could be 7. 4's output could be 9. 7's output would be 15. Okay? Every input has one output. So what would it look like to not be a relation? So, or let me just write that down. This one is a function. It passed the test. Yay. Let's do one that is not a function. So not a function could have inputs that look like 2, 3, 4, 7, 5, 7, 9, 15. The numbers would be the same. But if 2 has an arrow to 5 and an arrow to 7, these can go whatever direction we want them to go. That 2 is where it fails the test, because every input, every number here, can only have one output, but this has 2 outputs. All right, my question now is, looking at this mapping, is that a function? Your first glance needs to come right down here to the inputs. Does every input have one output? Now, what's tricky is that both of these are pointing to 6. Does that matter? No, it does not. This one still is a function. It passes the function test because every x has one arrow. This x has one arrow. This x has one arrow. So every x has its own answer. It's okay that they both would be 6. That's fine. All right, if we look at this table over here, every x can only have one y. Basically, do any of the x's repeat? Is there another 2? Is there another 3? Is there another 4? Is there another 5? No. This input has one output. This one has one. This one has one output. It's okay that we get 0 twice. What would not be okay is if we had the number twice. If I had 2 with a 6 this time. If sometimes 2 is equal to 0 and sometimes 2 is equal to 6, that just doesn't work. That can't happen, so it's not a function. Okay, so it's not a function the way it is. If I took this guy off and I just had that, then yes, it's a function. Just this section, but with the whole thing, it was no. All right, look at this next table and decide, is it a function? Your eye should go down this column. Are there any repeats? No repeats, so yes, it is a function. It passes the test. Every input has one output. It's okay that this input is 0 and this input's 0, but every time you put a -1 as an input, you have to get a 0 back out. All right, let's look at the graphs. If I have a straight line that looks like this, that is considered a function. If I have a straight line that looks like this, that is considered a function. If I have a straight line that looks like this, that is not a function. Okay, so let's talk about y. Why would that be? Remember, these are our x values. So when x is 1, it looks like y is 3. If x is 1, is y anything else? Nope, it only hits once. Over here, if x is 1, y is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, looks like 7. 2 would be 7. 3 would be 7. That's okay that I keep getting 7s. But if I go to 1, do I get any other y value? No, I don't, so it passes the test. But this vertical one right here, when x is negative 3, 1, 2, 3, y is 1. But when x is negative 3, y is also 2, and y is 3, and y is 4, and y is 5. So if I were to make a table of values for that guy, negative 3 can make a 0. Negative 3 can be a 1. Negative 3 can be a 2. I cannot have repeats over here in my my input category. So that one fails. Some funny looking pictures. A U-shaped picture. That's a yes. I'll erase this one. A V shape is a yes. Let's erase this guy and this guy. Let's see another shape. A squiggly, like an S, like a sideways S, is yes. Here's what would be a no. That guy's a no. Okay, why would that guy be a no? Well, right here at x equals negative 1, I have 2. I guess I shouldn't do that. I should probably do like a star or something. When x is negative 1, y is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But when x is negative 1, it's also negative 3. And I don't want to have repeats in the x side, the input side. So there's lots of yeses. There's not very many no's. Our no's were the vertical line, a sideways looking C. We could have a sideways looking V. Those would all be no's. Pretty much most everything is a yes. Here's one more picture I want to show you. What if we have dots and we don't have they're not connected, there's no line? Does this X, so if I come over here, does this X have only one answer? Yes. This X has one answer. This X has one answer. They all just have one answer. Unless I put 2 on the same X. Now those 2 cannot be there. All right, let's talk about equations. So an equation would look something like this. Y equals 1/2 x plus 4. Now, if it's just what this equation, then I'm not sure if it's a function or not. I could graph it. I could come up with the picture. The picture is actually going to be something that looks about like that. So if I had the picture that went with that equation, then I could determine if it's a function. If you ever see something written like this, f of x equals 1/2 x plus 4, then this notation out here is called function notation. This is saying it is a function. You don't even need a picture. Don't worry about the picture. Don't worry about the picture. It is for sure guaranteed a function. It is a function of x. And so sometimes you might see it written like this, f of 2 or f of g, okay? So whatever's in the parentheses is what they want you to put in place of x. If it's an actual number, we can get a number answer. If it's a g, we're just really changing out the letters. All right, for your Google Classroom question, you have one question. That's it. Just one. What's a function? What is a function? What do you think a function is? If you had to describe it to somebody who's never heard of it, give me like 2 or 3 sentences. I know you can't draw me pictures in Google Classroom, but give me a couple sentences that tells me that you can recap this lesson and what is a function.